'twas a few days before Christmas, more than 20 years ago. I was writing my wish list, and it was starting to grow. An N64, a green Power Ranger, a Sony CD player with the multi-disc changer, a Sega Dreamcast, a Finger skateboard, and let's not forget, a Furby. Good lord. So many things on my list, and I wanted them all. But fast forward to now, and that list is so small. Because now that I'm older, and a little wiser to boot, I know the important things aren't tied to loot. It's happiness and health that I wish for the most, for me and my family. So let's have a toast. Raise up your glasses to the stars up above, for family, for friends, for good health and love. Here's to long life and happiness, and a new year of success. Happy holidays to all from Generation S.
What is it?
It's time to go back.
Welcome.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, if that's your thing. And welcome back to another episode of the Generation S podcast. It's a podcast about growing up in the 90s and early 2000s. I'm Dan Kemp, along with my co-host for the day, a returning Dan Vorbeck. Dan, welcome back, man.
Feliz Navidad, Dan Kemp.
Indeed, Feliz Navidad. So we haven't had a one-on-one episode together since Goosebumps.
Correct.
And then you had come back for Halloween, which is great. And then I know we had talked about getting the gang back together, me, you, and Lou, to do Christmas. Unfortunately, with our recording schedule, Lou is unable to make it. But you and I are chatting tonight, and tonight we are talking all about the holidays. More specifically, I mean, just because of our upbringing, we are talking about Christmas.
Christmas.
You know, that's what we both celebrated. And of course, if you're listening to this and you did celebrate other holidays, again, happy holidays to you. Hopefully you still enjoy this episode. Don't turn it off just yet. But yeah, man, I mean, we're recording this, the 15th of December. So 10 days away from Christmas. And, well, Dan, let me ask you, we're older men now. We're grown men.
Yep.
To
a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Yeah. You and I are kind of at different places in life. You know, I've got the wife and kids, and so, I've got a different perspective. But, I mean, for you now as an adult, what does Christmas mean to you now?
Pain. No, not like emotional, but like physical pain. Because I do Christmas trees.
Okay.
I work at a nursery during the holiday season, and I sell Christmas trees. We sell about 7,000 Christmas trees. You touch every tree about 7 times.
Yep.
So, every year things hurt a little bit more.
It's a lot of lifting.
A little bit longer. But, it's always good to spend with the family.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
The food is always good. My uncle always makes an amazing meal. And, just Christmas in retail is harder as an adult because you see it in August.
Well, that's true. They start things and it's getting earlier and earlier, right? Where they're kind of getting ready for the holiday season. Or maybe it's always been that way and I just never noticed. But I feel like I'm seeing Halloween and Christmas coming out end of August, early September. Has that always been the case?
It's always been the case. At least on the retail side, because you can't.
You have to get ready.
You got to be ready for Christmas the moment Thanksgiving's over.
Yeah.
It's full-fledged Christmas. And if you're not ready to go, you're missing out. Day after day after day is, another $10,000 in tiny little ornaments.
You gotta have it ready. And so, so you're moving trees all around. So, okay, let me ask you this. Like, what's the biggest tree you've had to move? I mean, because I assume you're getting them in people's, on their cars and stuff, right? Or, are you loading on the trucks?
The biggest I had, some people have pickup trucks. Some people have
Okay, but it's
Coopers.
not like you're loading 40-foot, massive, like you put in like an office building entryway or something.
We have the biggest tree we sell is a 22-footer, but we don't even untie those. And we have forklifts. We just pick them up, put them on the delivery truck, and they go off to wherever they go off to.
Okay.
The biggest tree I've had to move solo is a 12 to 13 foot Fraser fir.
And it's probably not. It's probably not super heavy, but the distribution of the weight.
No, it's super heavy.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. And you just get down low and you put your shoulder in there and you just kind of lift it up and
Lift with your legs, though, not with your back.
Yeah, well, you lift with everything that you got, and you stumble to the front and throw it down, and then you got what we do is a hog tie.
Okay.
And because it can't fit through a baler. And the balers are the machines that put the netting over it.
Yeah.
And they're just too small. And you just got to hog tie it, and then, hopefully they're going into a pickup truck.
And if it's 13 feet long, I mean, gosh, it better be in a pickup truck. Otherwise, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to Clark Griswold that thing on the top of your car where it's hanging over.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Now, so before we get into growing up with Christmas, a couple of things because honestly, I've never asked you these questions. We've never spent the holidays together.
True.
So a couple of kind of rapid fire questions. First off, real tree or fake tree in your own house?
Fake tree.
Fake tree. Same here.
As growing up, because my mom had a bunch of allergies to real trees and things like that. So
yeah, same thing with Beth. She has. What's funny because what's hilarious is she wants a real tree. But then be like, well, I want one, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm like, well, then we're not getting a real tree because I'm not going to do this all by myself. Because she does. I've seen her. She's allergic to pine straw and things like that. So she'll break out in a terrible rash. So I know she loves real trees. I think she may have had one growing up every so often. I like the fake tree personally, especially these days. They make really nice looking ones that look really good. We have one in our front entryway. You can see it from the road, and it looks great. I mean, it's one of those very full looking. It's like a Fraser fir, one of those, but it looks very nice, especially when it's got all the decoration and the lights on it. So, yeah, fake tree all the way for me. All right, so on the subject of trees, rainbow colored lights or white lights?
Well, that's kind of like a personal choice, but for me, you got to have color.
Same way. Yeah, I agree.
And some of the trees now, you could change your mind every day. There's one that we sell where you can go to your phone and live in front of you, they have a color wheel. And as you move your finger around the color wheel,
it's got the LEDs.
The lights change on the tree, which is
and you can
stuff.
do different patterns and
different displays.
I've seen that. Yep.
You can give your kids
that's a fake
epilepsy.
tree. So you sell fake trees too?
Yeah. Oh no, Hicks Nurseries on Long Island. If you're visiting,
if you're up in the area,
everything Christmas we have ornaments. Okay, those little villages. Real trees, fake trees, real wreaths, fake trees, so on and so forth. You run the gambit. We've got it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, man. Well, listen. Let's jump into it then. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of work our way chronologically from essentially the day after Thanksgiving up until Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then we'll probably take it past there and maybe wrap up with the New Year as far as our discussion goes. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. All right. So here we go. Thanksgiving, day's over. As a kid, you have the next day off, typically. I always did. Did you always have Black Friday off from school?
Yeah. Usually, you got that 4-day weekend. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. Yep.
So that's what we had too. And so for Black Friday, that's typically the time when you're supposed to go out and enjoy, holiday shopping, or I say enjoy very loosely. I'm using quotes, you see.
Quite loosely, yes.
Did you ever do the Black Friday thing or no?
No, my family wasn't really into the Black Friday thing. Mainly because my parents shopped and had all my Christmas presents before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was just done. Right, exactly. So,
and the major reason is because I lived near Roosevelt Fields. And after Thanksgiving, you couldn't go near it. Yeah. Even now, it's so crowded.
So, okay, I heard this one time, and I don't know if it's true, but people that live near big malls and shopping centers and stuff like that at the holiday season can I've heard people offer parking on their driveway or their lawn if the parking lot's full, at a mall. Have you ever had to do that or had the chance to offer up your lawn to people?
I'm not that close where I could offer parking. I'm probably 3 city blocks away.
Okay,
maybe a mile. Okay, and Roosevelt Field's got enough parking. Now I doubt that there's anybody around there because it's Garden City.
Gotcha.
Nobody's letting them park in their driveways.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So really not but when did you, after Thanksgiving, when did Christmas kind of kick into full gear? For us growing up, now I'll decorate the Christmas tree the day after. We'll take all the decorations out on Black Friday. But growing up, we didn't really do that until early December. Sometimes even early to mid-December before the stuff came out. When did you guys start kind of getting into the Christmas spirit in the household?
First weekend of December.
Okay, so you'd have the full. Now, what if like Chris or Thanksgiving was like the last couple days, and then like December kicked in that weekend right after Thanksgiving?
First weekend of December.
That would count. Okay, gotcha. And so you would. I mean, so same thing. You know, we would get the tree. Actually, you know, it's funny. You know, we had a fake tree growing up as well. And my mom, in later years, would actually just carry the whole thing out to the garage, fully decorated, mind you, and just set it in the garage and put a tarp on it. Like it was just done. But growing up, I know, I mean, it was, we would keep the tree out in the garage, but all the decorations would not be on it. So, you know, we would bring the tree in. Now, for you know, only child, but as far as the decorating of the tree, was that like a whole family thing, or was that a just you thing, or just parents thing?
Oh no, that was a whole mom thing.
Really? That was her, that was her thing. Like, don't mess with it.
You had to help, but it was mom's thing. So before artificial trees were pre-lit, you had to run lights on the artificial trees.
That's what we had to do. It was terrible.
And year after year and time after time, my mom would put more. She at one point had to have probably 50 sets of lights on a tree.
Oh, wow. So she's winding them around all the branches.
Every branch was lit up. I'm pretty sure you could see our tree from like Saturn. And you know those like Rubbermaid bins?
Yeah.
Those gray, the big heavy duty ones that people keep like tools in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She had, well, I mean, we have, but 6 or 7 of those filled with ornaments.
Wow. Did they all go on the tree?
And every single one got on the tree.
Wow.
And
naturally, so you're not seeing a tree at all at that point.
No, it was all ornament at that point. And we did have a family tradition where she would get a new cardinal ornament every year.
Okay.
And I would get the Hallmark Star Trek ship.
Nice. Do they have so they put out a new one every year then?
Yep. They put out a new one every year. And you could plug them into the lights and they lit up and some of them talked and stuff like that. And
nice.
It was very, very cool. And that was like the one thing I got to put on the tree. Okay. And then after that, Mom was like, just unwrap stuff and hand it to me.
And then that's incredible. Oh yeah. No, for us growing up, it was, I mean, it kind of all helped out. At first, it was like my parents would help us. But then after that, honestly, it was mainly the kids. Like, it was like, okay, I don't want to do it. You guys put them up and just, okay, cool. We always, I mean, the rule was you don't put like all the big ornaments on the top. You put them on the bottom. Yep. You don't put them too close together. Like, you don't ever have 2 things next to each other on the same, like, adjacent branches. You got to like space them out if you can.
Yep.
Now, what about, so you get the ornaments. Now, same thing, like you said, we would, you know, put lights up on the tree. Now, honestly, we didn't do anything nearly to a level that sounds like your mom did, but we would just literally just wrap strands around. So maybe it was 2 or 3. And it looked terrible, of course, but I didn't care. I loved it.
It was Christmas. You didn't care.
I didn't care. Christmas was here. And we would always, while we decorated, we always had Christmas music on. Like, I feel like that's a normal thing, but like, I'm assuming you guys,
yes, so, Christmas music was on.
But like back then, like, unless it was on the radio, you had to have it like locally. You couldn't, there was no internet to stream it.
Records.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That was like the one time a year my parents busted out their record. Actually, we always had it. It was a record player that was like a built-in like credenza. Do you remember those?
Yep. So 100% what I had.
You had it too, yeah. So like where the speakers were like felted in the front. Yep. Oh my god.
Yep.
And it's funny. I remember the first time I saw my mom open it up. I was like, "That's what that does." Like I had no idea. And so she would bust out the Christmas music on the record player. That was the one time a year that we used it, and we would. I very fond memories of decorating the tree. And once it was done, so here we go. Let's talk tree toppers for a minute here. I mean, there's really 2 main camps. You got the angel camp, you got the star camp. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I was the angel camp, and you know, my mom was very religious, so
sure,
she put the angel up, and the angel was something that my dad's mom gave to her when they got married or something like that. So that was the angel that went on top of the tree every year.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we were a star family, and we had this one that I don't even know if it was made out of like styrofoam or what, but it like you plugged it into the lights and it did light up. It had lights built into it, but it was like a clear plasticky. I mean, it looked very 80s. Like you look at it going, okay. Honestly, it probably was a rollover from the 70s now that I'm thinking about it. Like it looked old as hell. My mom probably got it at a garage sale. But that was our tree or star for many years. I honestly, until I moved out, I'm pretty sure we used that star. But did you put it on first or last? or somewhere in the middle?
I think we put it on last.
Okay.
I think that was the last thing to do because I remember my dad always complaining because he had to do it.
Well, it's probably too tall. Yeah,
it was too tall for mom to do it, and obviously I was too small. But he always complained. He's like, "Why can't we put this on first before the whole tree is decorated, so I can at least get close to it and put it on?"
It's literally a plot point of the Garfield Christmas special.
100%. And my mom goes, "No, it's the last thing that goes on the tree." And he's like, "Oh, whatever."
It just wouldn't be Christmas if you put the star on first, honey.
3 days later after we're done decorating the tree.
Exactly. Oh man,
that's not a joke. It took us 3 days to decorate this tree.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, no, it was a couple hours. We were done.
Nope, 3 days.
All right, so that's the tree, man. But you got to decorate the rest of the house. So what are some other things? I mean, I'm gonna assume, and maybe wrongfully so, but I don't think so. Like, I mean, did you have the manger scene, the classic, manger setup?
We had a little one.
Okay.
So in the kitchen, my mom would set up the little villages.
Oh
the Department 56 village,
like the ceramic ones or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That, and she'd have a little manger scene in that, along with the little house and sleighs and stuff like that. And then on the outside, we did the classic. They look like shallot lights.
Yeah.
Okay. Around the door, and then we did like 2 candles and snowmen. We had like light up nutcrackers, and we string the house with lights, and we. So
I was going to say, did you do lights along? You did lights along the house then? Or?
One of the peaks we used to do.
Okay.
And we had a lot of lights and stuff like that. We had light up packages, and we did a pretty good job.
Okay. Yeah. We didn't do a lot outside myself. I think every once in a while my dad would put up like a string of lights on the front. But that year, if he would do it, that means they weren't coming down till Easter at least. So, I mean, I'm thinking that's probably why it didn't always happen, but we did. I remember we had some lights outside. And I remember like we would leave them on all night. So like as a kid, my room was right, in the front there. So the window outside, I could see the lights, which was kind of cool. Other than that, we didn't do anything like in the front yard. We lived in a very rural area, so really not a lot of people driving by. It was a big front yard too. So like we honestly, in hindsight, could have probably done some pretty cool stuff, but we couldn't be bothered.
Fair enough.
So, but inside, we had the manger scene as well. Ours was pretty cool, actually. I think it was handmade because it was like they were like sewn and stuffed like figures, manger figures.
Okay.
I think it was some kind of pattern that you like sewed it, and they had like a hard bottom, so they would set up on it. And it was like a little stuffed baby Jesus and animals, and so we had that. We would always put that out on the credenza that I mentioned, the record player credenza.
Right.
And then, I'm trying to think what else. Like, I remember my mom had it was a porcelain or like a ceramic. It was a Care Bear set. And I looked it up, actually. It's like a vintage, like, it was like the red Care Bear sitting on top of a roof, like ceramic set. And I think it played a song. I think I remember it playing, which I don't know why it's a Christmas song, but apparently it is. But the song "My Favorite Things" from The Sound of Music. Girls in white dresses and blue.
Yeah.
Apparently that has become a Christmas song.
Oh, hang on. You hear that?
I do hear that.
So what that is the fire department for Mineola goes up and down the block during the Christmas season, like once a week on Thursdays and Saturdays, and they have Santa riding on top of the fire engine.
Oh,
and they
nice.
play Christmas music. So this early, they're probably doing a practice run, and then next week they'll start coming up and down the block.
Have they done that like your whole life? Because you lived in that house that you're in your whole life, right?
My whole life, they've done.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of cool what they do.
Yeah. No, that's really we're going to leave that in. So I'm not editing that out, by the way. So just watch your mouth, okay?
There you go.
Don't be cussing because this is staying in. Anyway, no. So other than that, in the house, the only other thing that we had up, we had weird traditions with like stocks. So like stockings, we didn't have a fireplace. So we had our stockings hung over the entryway into the kitchen, basically hanging above the door frames. Like did you, I can't remember. Do you guys have a fireplace?
No, we don't have a fireplace. I only now have a fire pit outside.
Oh yeah. Well, you're not going to hang a stocking out
But you're not going to hang a stocking there. No, we would hang our stockings. We had like this Ottoman china cabinet kind of thing. We still have it. It's still in the same spot. And we would hang them from the top of it.
Oh, nice. Okay. So honestly, yeah, it's one of those where like you don't have a fireplace, you got to kind of improvise.
Right.
But that was always same place every year. It was the stockings above the frame in the kitchen. And then we would get Christmas cards from people because back then people were really serious about their Christmas cards.
Yep.
We would actually tape them around that same door frame. So that's,
Oh, no.
we would have them.
No, we wouldn't do that.
What did you, when you guys got Christmas cards, did you display them or?
We had a table behind one of the couches that we would just kind of line them all up along with the poinsettias that we had.
Just put them like domino style. Then like December 31st, you just knock them all down or
put them in the trash. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I mean, I was talking about this with Beth, actually. She's like, this so-and-so sent us a Christmas card of their family. Like, don't they, we're just going to throw their family picture away at the end of this. Like, they know that, right? I'm like, I don't know, honey. It's fine.
What's the statute of limitations on keeping a Christmas card?
That's a great question. Listen, if you're listening to this and you have the answer, seriously, either if you're listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're following us on Facebook, let us know the statute of limitations when it comes to keeping other people's family photos from Christmas cards.
Or just Christmas cards in general that
Christmas
you receive.
cards
How
in
long do
general.
you keep them?
Well, because like we'll keep birthday cards forever, like from each other. Like if I get a birthday card from my kids or from my wife or whatever, like I've got birthday cards going back 10 years.
Yeah, but that's a different story.
I guess more personal.
That's your family.
It's true, yeah. So other people, I don't know. You're right. There's probably a different statute of limitations there. So, honestly, my mom, she was the opposite of a pack rat back then. So she probably just threw them out like literally December 26th. Was like, all right, these are done. I don't remember, but
Christmas
it was probably
is over.
something like it. Basically, yeah. And then other than that, around the house, we didn't do much more. Like we would change out a couple of like the hand towels, with like maybe some Christmassy ones or like a centerpiece and then the kitchen table. And I think one year she might have even done like garland around one of the door frames or something like that. It wasn't too crazy. And then I think I'm trying to think, did we even do anything like in our bedrooms? Probably not, now that I think about it. But yeah, I mean, we weren't like big decorators. But Christmas was definitely the time of year where we did the most. Like we didn't really decorate for Halloween as an example.
Right.
Or I don't even think of any. What other holidays do you decorate for at this point? Are there really any other ones?
I mean, we used to do Halloween and Christmas. Those are the only two.
That's basically
really
it, right?
Decorate
Like
for, and I mean, my mom would do some stuff for Easter.
Okay.
And that's about it.
I would say we do some decorations for Easter, some for fall, like just in general fall.
Yeah, like fall decorations, like pumpkins and stuff.
But that's basically it. Yeah, Christmas, though, that was our big one. So, and it's funny because we're not, we weren't like a Catholic family. I was baptized Catholic and all that, but we really weren't like, we weren't a very, religious family, but we still have that tree up until probably January 5th, just because like we just didn't feel like, you don't
want to test fate,
not even that, but just like, again, this is the same family that would leave up Christmas lights outside until April 4th. I mean, it's just, so I don't know. We just, we'll deal with it later. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, we're moving and shaking now. So we finished Thanksgiving. We've decorated our house. Now we are fully in Christmas mode. And so other than decorations, I mean, what's changing in your house this time of the year? Like
my attitude towards schoolwork.
Just don't want to do it now.
No, it's the countdown to Christmas and you're going, all right, what's on my list and what am I getting? And when is school going to be over? Is it going to snow? Am I going to get any snow days before Christmas kind of thing? Or, and then you're watching Saturday morning cartoons and this new great thing comes on. You run to your parents like, ooh, can I get this? And you're like, no.
Oh, the toy commercials and that was as full. Yeah, they were kicking in the high
flooded.
Oh yeah,
with new and exciting toys for a commercial.
One of the things we didn't really do, like we didn't go to the mall a lot, but like we would every so often we would go to the mall for Santa to sit on meet Santa and everything like that.
Yeah,
did you have like an annual Santa visit that you would go to?
We used to go to the one in the city in Macy's.
Oh wow, you'd go in. That's like legit then.
We used to take a family trip and we visit Rockefeller Center. We would go see the Rockettes, or I'm going to get criticized for forgetting the name, but what's the
it's the Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker. There we go. Thank you.
I only know it because it's like my least favorite show to go to.
Well, when you're a kid, there's pretty colors and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I went to it as an adult like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like,
I'm sorry.
I'm not doing this anymore.
I don't, maybe it's just the ballot. I don't do, it's boring to me. There's no, like, okay, the dancing, I mean, it's very impressive, but like, it's just boring to me. Like, there's no singing. It's music and people walking around looking really upset that their toes really hurt. Like, I can see the pain on their faces.
It's a ballet.
It is. It's a ballet. It's just not my thing. Like, no judgment to somebody who loves the ballet. It's totally fine. It's not for me.
And we used to go see Santa, and I remember distinctly Santa in Macy's was like all the way at the top floor.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you got to a certain level and you knew you were getting close to Santa because the escalator switched from like a standard escalator to wood. They were wood escalators leading up to Santa. I guess that's what they would
have had back in the day, right?
Yeah, they're the original escalators that Macy's had back whenever they started.
Huh.
And then we used to go to FAO Schwartz.
Oh, I've been there once before because they're shut down now, right?
Yeah, they're gone.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay. But they're coming back. Like, I know you can buy their stuff in stores. It's not the same thing, obviously.
No, it's not the same thing. And that place used to be like a magical place for kids.
I first saw it on the movie Big with Tom Hanks.
Yep.
Right? Where he's going and he's playing on the standing piano and all that stuff. Like I said, I went there one time. I didn't even get to do the piano. But no, man, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm jealous of Lou, too, because Lou is from Long Island. Like, I'm sure he went into the city every so often for this stuff. But, like, to me, New York City is like, when you think of Christmas time, like, you say Christmas in the city, the first city you think of is New York, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Honorable mention, runner-up is, like, Chicago. Because I feel like there's a lot of Christmas stuff in Chicago, but New York City is like the mecca for, you've got Rockefeller Center, you've got the tree there, you've got did you ever do the ice skating there at Rockefeller Center?
Yeah. Back when I was playing Little League hockey, I went ice skating there once. I think it was a school trip, actually.
Oh, nice. See, you got all these cool things. No, that's great, man. Yeah. So you saw Santa. I went and saw Santa at the mall, or, he would show up at a party that we had gone to. I know my dad's, where he worked at the correctional facility up in upstate New York, and they would have like for all the prison guards, like their families, like a Christmas party, and Santa would usually come to that. So at the very least, we would see Santa in some form pretty much every year, at least for the the early years of our lives.
Yeah.
And so, of course, usually I would have, my list for him or what have you, or ask for one or two things. But so you saw Santa. So you're having a hard time focusing in school. Same here. Like, I just was too excited for Christmas. I'm counting it down. I tell you what, man, like, to me now, like, as a 35-year-old, like, it's flying by. Like, Thanksgiving to me was like yesterday, and now we're 10 days out from Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
But my kids, I'm sure, are going crazy right now because it's just dragging for them.
Yep.
Because they're incredibly excited, and understandably so. So, all right. So while you're not focusing on school, you're home. You mentioned you watched a lot of those, Saturday morning cartoons, toy commercials. What about Christmas specials, though? Was that like a family thing for you guys that you would, because they would always have them on TV every night?
So we would watch a couple of Christmas movies together.
Okay. Like, what are some that you remember?
Miracle on 24th Street.
34th Street.
34th Street.
That's where Macy's is, Dan.
24th Street. I can't believe I just said that. A little piece of the New Yorker in me just died.
Wow. What's on 24th Street?
I played Santa in Miracle on 34th Street in a school play.
Well, are you sure you didn't play it in Miracle on 24th Street? You might have.
I mean, it was a grade school play, so it was probably the 24th Street version.
What store would be on the 24th Street that Santa would be at?
I don't know. It's probably a lot of Chinese restaurants.
Or like a Rite Aid.
Or a Rite Aid, yeah. So, Miracle on 34th Street.
Now, which one did you watch? The black and white one or the new one?
Black and white one.
Okay. I say new. It's like from 1991, so it's like 30 years old. But
we would watch A Christmas Carol.
Which version?
The Muppets.
Yes, best version.
It's the best version. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it also is my favorite Christmas movie.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
well, that's the cat's out of the bag there.
So.
All right. By the way, side note, did you know that there was like an extended version back in the day?
Of what?
Of the Christmas Carol, Muppets Christmas Carol. Had extra scenes.
No.
And then and I forget how long they aired it without those, where people almost kind of forgot them. But then this is exciting. I'm glad you don't know this. Disney Plus just released the original version with all the added scenes back in.
I know what I'm doing after this.
So I was going to say, go watch it. And if that's the one you remember, then you always watch the extended version. But I'm pretty sure they cut the extended scenes years ago. And then on any re-airings, they just never included them again.
Wow.
Until now.
Wow.
So there you go.
Learn something every day. And
all right.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
That was my mom's favorite, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we watched any together. I don't know if we did. I remember watching, my mom had like a tape of Christmas specials. So like, and on it, I remember it had The Grinch, it had Garfield, it had Frosty the Snowman, it had one called A Wish for Wings That Work. It was an Opus and Bill. Remember the Opus and Bill comic strip?
Yeah. Okay.
They made like an animated special. I thought it was a cartoon that you could watch every week. It wasn't. It was just a one-off 30-minute special. And it was great. I loved it. What else was on there? Do you remember Dinosaurs? Remember the show Dinosaurs?
Of course I remember Dinosaurs.
Do you remember their Christmas special?
I do remember their Christmas special.
It was Refrigerator Day. Yeah.
That's right.
They were celebrating the refrigerator because that's what made dinosaurs settle down and start staying in one place because they could keep food cold.
Yep.
It's brilliant
that
as far as I'm concerned.
Show, when I first saw it, scared the daylights out of me.
Well, because there's dinosaurs wearing flannel shirts. That's terrifying.
The baby was scared the crap out of me. It was creepy. It was creepy.
Yeah.
It was creepy.
Well, because it was like pink. It was almost human looking.
Yeah,
right?
It was a little too close to home kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Did they make it skin colored on purpose? I feel like they had to.
They had to have.
Yeah.
They had to.
That's just creepy. So we had that tape and I would watch it. I wore that tape out, like, because that was like one tape that I would actually watch year round. Because that was like, to me, it was like a lullaby. Like I could put that on my TV. If I had a TV in my room, I would put it on. I could fall asleep in 10 minutes. Like I memorized every sound in those specials. I actually have a bootleg DVD now of a bunch of those now. Like I've got Garfield, I've got Frosty, I've got Grinch, and then I've got all like the stop motion ones, like the Rudolph and the Santa Claus is coming to town. Did you ever like those, by the way? Because those are pretty polarizing. Like the Rudolph and all that stuff.
I did when I was a kid, and my parents wouldn't watch those because they couldn't take it.
They didn't like it.
But I'd watch them on my own, and when I was a kid, I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
And I watch them now, I'm like,
I don't know.
These are a little janky.
They're janky. Not even that, though. Just like, I feel like they just didn't age well.
No,
you know what I mean? As far as just,
like,
you can watch it and feel nostalgic, but you can't, I don't know. And I say that, my kids love them, so I don't know. Maybe it's resonating with young children. When you're
a kid, you got to be a kid to really enjoy them. Now, I have a question for you.
Sure, yeah.
And this is a long debated, controversial question when it comes to Christmas.
Okay.
Die Hard.
Oh
Christmas
my God,
movie?
really? Yeah. All right. Here's my criteria, and I've discussed this before. I think I may have even discussed this on a previous episode, but if not, I'm going to set the record straight now. To me, a Christmas movie is one that can only be enjoyed at Christmas time and no other time of the year without you being kind of a creep. Okay?
Fair.
So, for example, The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. You're probably not going to watch that in July. Well, maybe July because of Christmas in July. You're probably not going to watch that in April.
Probably
right?
not.
It's not.
No.
It's not going to be.
No,
it's not going to be on TV. We'll say that. Like they're not going to have a showing of the Santa Claus. Die Hard, on the other hand, is shown on TV year round. It happens to take place at Christmas, but to be honest with you, most of that movie could have been pulled off just as easily without Christmas being a factor. So as much as I love Die Hard, and I genuinely do, and I will use Christmas as an excuse to watch it, just to say, it's Christmas, might as well watch Die Hard, but I do not consider it a Christmas movie because I can enjoy that movie any time of the year. What are your thoughts?
It's a Christmas movie.
But you'll watch it outside of Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie that you can enjoy any time of the year.
Okay, so let's...
Even though Bruce Willis says it's not a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas movie.
I mean, if it's coming from the man himself,
nope,
Dan.
He's wrong.
Okay, well, you tell him he's wrong next time you see him.
No thanks.
All right, so okay, well, in that vein, then, what are some other Christmas but not Christmas movies in your opinion?
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's it to me, honestly.
It's a Halloween movie.
Mathematically speaking, it's a Thanksgiving movie because it's right in the middle.
That is a Thanksgiving movie.
You're just doing it's just simple math. You're dividing by 2, and you get right in the middle there. But yes, we actually will watch that at a Halloween. We don't usually watch it at Thanksgiving or Christmas time in our house. So I would agree. I think that's more of a Halloween movie than it is a Christmas movie.
I would say it's a holiday movie.
It's a holiday movie. It's a Q3 movie.
It's a Q3 movie.
It's a Q3
There
movie.
you go. It's a Q3 movie.
That's my corporate speak coming out. We don't watch it at Christmas time, and because and as I've actually thought about this way more than I probably need to, the whole basis is that it is the people of Halloween looking at something new. So the perspective is from a Halloween point of view.
Exactly.
So ergo vis-a-vis, it's got to be a Halloween movie that happens to explore other things.
Correct.
So
hence, holiday movie.
There it is. Q3. All right. I'll throw another one at you then. We're holding this bag of movies out here, Christmas or not. Lethal Weapon. What are your thoughts? The original Lethal Weapon.
Oh, okay. I was going to say which one.
Yeah.
That's another one that happens at Christmas time.
It does. See, if you're going to say Die Hard is, then you have to say Lethal Weapon is.
That's why I'm torn here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so. I'd say it's a Christmas movie too.
Okay. And I would say, much like Die Hard, it is not a Christmas movie, but it is one that I can enjoy year-round, and I acknowledge the fact that it takes place at Christmas. Although I would say even less than Die Hard does that involve the actual holiday of Christmas.
True. And the reason I say Die Hard is a Christmas movie because it's in Christmas. It happens at a Christmas party.
Yes.
So on and so forth.
That's true. And I guess that's the whole plot is, because there's the whole debate of like, well, they wouldn't have taken over the skyscraper if there was a full office or what. It's like, no, you could have had any excuse to have that be the setting without it being Christmas, and they could have made it work. But
4th of July party, whatever.
Or just once someone even said like, well, what about like an open house? This brand new office building, they just invited some executives to celebrate the open house of it or whatever.
But they didn't. They picked Christmas.
I know, but why?
Because it's a Christmas movie.
Whatever, it's not. Okay. Are there any other ones that fall in that list of like they happen to be taking place at Christmas, but could be debated?
Star Wars Christmas special?
No, that's just trash.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not to be enjoyed ever by anyone ever. Actually, I don't know, man. Like. Those are the only ones that, like, to me, there's another one. I actually just watched it recently that I feel like I could probably watch it other times of the year, but Christmas really makes it more special. Did you ever see the movie The Family Man with Nicolas Cage?
No, I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Do you know what have you heard of it?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't say I remember anything about it.
So I'll give you a kind of a brief synopsis because I just watched it and I've decided it is one of my favorite movies now. So Nicolas Cage is this basically starts off in the 80s. He's supposed to be like this young 20-something-year-old, breaks up with his smoking hot girlfriend played by Téa Leoni. He got a job offer overseas, actually an internship overseas for like a banking firm or like an investment firm, one of those like Wall Street type deals.
Right.
And his girlfriend's like, no, don't go. Like let's start our life now. Let's do that. And basically, long story short, he chooses his career over her. So he goes to London, they break up, and then he, fast forward 13 years later, he's now this highfalutin, very powerful, like investor type, whatever on Wall Street. I think he's in like mergers and acquisitions actually, because that's like a kind of a mini plot point.
That's always the plot point.
Well, of course it is. Yeah. But he's got the penthouse apartment. He's got the sleeping with all the different women, he's enjoying his life, right? He's a bachelor. And, so long story short, he gets into an altercation where, he meets up with, I guess it's an angel or a demon, depending on how you want to look at it, played by none other than Rhodey from Iron Man and all that. What's his? Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
And so basically he says, I'm going to give you a glimpse. And he's well, what does that mean? So he goes to bed and he wakes up next to his girlfriend from 13 years ago.
Oh.
But
no,
they're married.
This.
So he never left for that job. He stays, he marries her. They have a family. They live in New Jersey now instead of New York City.
Yep.
And so he's like, what the hell is going on? And so he basically lives this life. He learns that it's just a glimpse of what could be. And at first he's super miserable. He's like, well, this is lame. I live in New Jersey with a minivan. This is stupid. Anyway, very quickly and predictably, I'm sure you can imagine, he starts to fall in love with his family. He really falls in love with his now wife, who, from her perspective, has been with him for 13 years. And he's all of a sudden, getting used to being with her again. And then it ends with him waking up back in his own bed, almost like a kind of an It's a Wonderful Life alternate, like what would have happened if something changed.
Like a Christmas Carol kind of.
Yeah, that whole kind of vein. I think that's what they were going for, because it starts off on Christmas, but then, I mean, it takes place over several months in this alternate universe where he's got a family, but then it goes back to Christmas at the end. So that's why it's probably more of a Christmas movie.
Yep.
And then he, just in case you're wondering how it ends, he basically ends up meeting up with her in the present day where they're not together in the main universe, and is like, hey, I saw our future together. Like, he, without being too weird, he was like, just have coffee with me. He wants to reconnect with her and see if they can actually have that again, because she was truly his soulmate or whatever.
Right.
It's a very sweet movie. But anyway, Christmas is a big plot point of it, so I would say it's probably considered a Christmas movie, but it's one that I could enjoy year round. So it's like more Christmassy than Die Hard, but less Christmassy than like the Santa Claus.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So
you know what? The second you said he wakes up in the bed next to his wife, I'm like, no, I have seen this. Yes, alternate reality movie. Yeah.
Great. It's a fantastic.
It's actually
movie.
A very good movie. It's one of his better ones.
It is. No, I like most Nicolas Cage movies. Granted, I haven't seen like probably 80% of what he's put out in the last 20 years, because it's a lot. I'm thinking Nicolas Cage from like Face Off and The Rock and
Con Air.
Con Air. There was one I saw in the early 2000s that I do recommend. It's called Matchstick Men. Did you ever see that?
Oh, it's a great movie.
Was it Con Artist? Oh, it's so good.
So
anyway.
Good.
All right. Well, listen.
That was another one.
I never saw that, but that the guy that's based off of just got sent back to Russia.
Yeah, we won't get into that, but
we'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's listen. This is not a Nicolas Cage and Russia podcast, so let's get back to Christmas here. All right, so Christmas movies. Do you remember how a lot of the shows we'd watch would have like the Christmas episode, right? Whether it was the cartoon.
Absolutely.
I know, big shout out to Rugrats. They had the Hanukkah episode, which I thought was really cool.
That was very nice, actually.
Because honestly, that's how I learned about technically, I'm Jewish. For those of you who don't know that are listening, because my mom's mom was Jewish, it's a whole mother's side of the family thing. So technically, I'm Jewish, but not really. So I say I'm Jewish. You see that? You see what I did there? So I'm Jewish, meaning we've never celebrated a single Jewish holiday. My grandmother did, but we like stopped. Basically, once she divorced my grandfather, who was not Jewish, basically she stopped celebrating Jewish holidays long before I came into the picture, or even like my mom came into the picture. Like it was all Christian holidays that we celebrated, so like Easter and all that stuff. Anyway, so I didn't really know anything about Hanukkah until I watched the Rugrats animated special. Which I thought was really cool, because I was like, this is great. I had no idea this was a thing. And then apparently I found out after that, oh yeah, you're Jewish. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how I learned about Hanukkah. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you have any favorites of like the one-off Christmas episodes of a show you watched as a kid?
Oh, that's a tough one. Do I remember any of them? I know the Power Rangers always did. At least in season 2, I think they had a Christmas episode.
I think they did,
and I don't remember if it was very good, but they did have a Christmas episode.
Okay.
Any of the other shows I watch have a Christmas special? Well, the Rugrats.
Yep. And then you had a lot of the Nickelodeon ones did. Like I remember,
actually, the Nickelodeon ones did.
One of my
Saved
favorites
by the
is Saved by the Bell. Did Boy Meets World.
Yep.
So all those, and we'll do a TGIF episode in the future too. But yeah, no, a lot of those would have the Christmas special. They'd usually have I remember Roseanne always had a good Halloween special and a pretty good Christmas episode as well.
Yep. Oh, Home Improvement.
Yep, Home Improvement had really good ones. So they were kind of part of. They usually showed up like if you were to just scroll through each season's episodes on Netflix or whatever. Usually around episode 12 or 13 is when they would pop up with the Christmas one, and then usually episode 5 or 6 was Halloween.
Yeah. So a lot of the shows I watched when I was a kid were Star Trek mostly, and the sci-fi shows. They didn't really have Christmas episodes, because in the Star Trek universe, Christmas didn't really exist.
Yeah.
So
there it is.
They kind of mentioned it, and I think there were 1 or 2 episodes of The Next Generation that kind of like touched on Christmas as like they were doing like a nostalgic celebration, kind of thing. But Christmas hadn't existed for like 200 years or 300 years kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was antiquated at that point.
Right.
So, all right. So that's, kind of covering the TV portion of celebrating Christmas. I guess we'll call it the TV portion.
And
so,
speaking of learning about Hanukkah, I'll give a shout out to both my Catholic schools, both grammar and high school.
yeah.
We used to celebrate and do some Hanukkah celebrations. They wanted us to learn about Hanukkah because,
Well, sure.
for anybody who knows about religion, Judaism is the ancestor of Christianity.
It's the prequel. We use the prequel.
It's all the prequel.
Yeah.
And, they wanted us to understand kind of like where the celebration came from.
Yeah. Now, well, let me ask you this, because I've never actually asked this to anyone that went to Catholic school. Did you ever get any Jewish people that went to Catholic school just because it was a good school, or not really? They usually would go to Hebrew school, I guess.
No, they went to better schools.
All right. Well, fair enough.
But my dad's best friend is Jewish, and he's like an uncle to me. So I actually call him Uncle Sheldon, and he's Jewish, and they always used to celebrate. So we always kind of like, at Christmas, if he came over, we kind of did a shout out to Hanukkah.
Absolutely, man. Of course. So, all right. So let's go back to school for a minute, because you had a couple weeks before the big day. Anything weird in school? Like, did you dress differently? Well, you had a uniform, so I was going to say probably not. But like for me,
we had a dress down day. I think
the
day before winter break. We would also have half days the day before.
Yes,
winter break.
Same thing for us. Yep.
But our half day was basically mass.
Oh, that sucks. Ours was like, let's have a
mass.
Party in the classroom.
No,
and it was dope. Oh, well, that sucks. I'm sorry. Well, no, I don't want to say it sucks. That's not fair. But
no, this is a personal feeling. I didn't like it. That's a personal thing. I'm sure there are people out there who enjoyed it. But
hey, listen, no judgment on either side. But what about, okay, so like the reason what I was getting at with school was obviously talking about like school parties, but like did you have any, like, they're considered ugly sweaters now on purpose, but back in the day they were just, if your grandmother knitted you a really, really heavy, itchy sweater that happened to be really loud, I mean, you would just call it a sweater back then. Did you have any of what's considered an ugly sweater? Did you have anything like that back then?
No, not back then, but I had ugly sweaters, but where I had to wear them were to my parents' office Christmas parties.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because they happened during the winter break. So, I'd go to my dad's office and I'd had to wear whatever horrible piece of Christmas attire I got. And then I'd have to wear it again when I went to my mom's Christmas party.
Okay.
But at both places, there was another kid there who I was friends with. And we used to run around with Nerf guns.
Oh, there you go.
Shooting at each other.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, when you said my parents brought me to their office Christmas party, was that a thing? Like, because I feel like nowadays, like, I haven't had a company Christmas party in a while just because of, where I've worked. But, like, when I have, it was like a legit, like, you can bring your spouse, but we're getting schwasty-faced. Like,
yeah.
Was it like that?
Oh, yeah.
You just happen to tag along? Like, how did that work?
Well, so I was off and I had to go somewhere. And my grandparents couldn't always watch me.
Gotcha.
So I'd go in with my dad. And then later that week, I'd go in with my mom. And because I had to work.
Yeah.
And I'd go in and they'd have office Christmas parties. And I'd run around like a maniac. And by 4:00, I was passed out. Because everyone in the office thought I was adorable and would give me candy. And I'd, be high for the entire day on a sugar rush and then just collapse.
Oh, those are the days where you could wake up and not feel like total shit.
It'd take you 2 hours to recover with a nap, and then you're like, all right, let's get at it.
Go. Like now, dude, I tell you what, man, like we've had a couple of things like at the office where they had like, a bunch of like baked goods, like cookies and brownies and stuff. And, I have a sweet tooth. Like I will admit this, like it's like my Achilles heel. Like if there's candy or what, I'm going to eat it. That's just my thing. But if I eat too much, like not only do I feel like crap for the rest of the day, like I don't sleep well. And then I wake up the next day basically with a hangover, like not like a total hangover, but like I got a headache or like I've got serious indigestion. Like it just sticks with you, man. So anyway, that to say,
I hear you, and it gets a little harder the older you get.
Well, speaking of candy, and I just thought of this, but I want to get your thoughts on this because apparently this is now something I need to see schools of thought on, because I thought there was only one way, but my children have now proven otherwise. So candy canes. First off, where do you weigh in on candy canes?
I like candy canes.
You like candy canes. Okay. So you got a candy cane.
Hang on. I like original candy canes.
So you don't like the flavored candy canes?
Some of them are good, but some of them are just train wrecks.
All right, well, let's talk about that for a minute, that little sidebar here. So back in the day, we would have Christmas parties at school, and you'd always inevitably get a couple of candy canes.
Right.
And I never loved the peppermint. As an adult, I think I like it a lot more. Just the peppermint flavor is good. But, I mean, I would get excited for like a blueberry or like a cherry candy cane. Give me two. Give me one that was really good and one that you would just not even touch. You'd throw it away or give it to somebody else.
Well, the original peppermint. Great.
Okay. That was always a go-to.
Watermelon.
For like or hate? Hate. But you don't like watermelon candy in general, do you?
No, that's not true. You get me a watermelon Jolly Rancher. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But a watermelon candy cane?
At least back in the 90s, it wasn't good.
I was going to say, is it because you were expecting mint or because the way they made it just didn't taste good?
No, it didn't taste good. It tasted like artificial watermelon.
Well, that's what they all are, man.
Yeah, I know they are, but it tasted fake.
Okay.
It had like I don't know. I didn't like it.
I wonder if it's because the candy in a candy cane is a different texture than like a Jolly Rancher, where it's
not by much.
I mean, I guess, but like a candy cane's not clear. First of all, it's
true.
So however it's made, you know what I mean? Versus a Jolly Rancher is like basically just syrup that's hardened is what a Jolly Rancher is. So I don't know. All right. You know what they make, because I got so many of them now, is like I want to try these. They're the hot tamales, cinnamon ones.
Oh.
I feel like I could get into a cinnamon candy cane.
That might not be too bad.
I'm saying, because it's got that bit of a spice, like different than peppermint, but still kind of holiday-ish. Cinnamon very much associated with the winter season.
You know what that would be good in?
What's that?
Hot toddy.
I've never had a hot toddy.
You've never had a hot toddy?
I mean, as a kid, obviously I didn't as a kid, and just as an adult, I mean, just never made them.
You should make yourself a hot toddy. The next time you feel like the sniffles, make yourself a hot toddy, get one of those candy canes, and put the candy cane in there.
A little swirly action?
Yeah, I think that'd be really good, actually.
I could do, or I was thinking it was like a hot spiked cider.
That too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like a hard apple cider or something like that?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, all right. Anyway, that was a total tangent. Not what I was going to ask you, though, as far as candy canes go. So back to that for a second here. When you have a candy cane and you unwrap it and it's one that you like to eat, do you this is going to sound so, I'm sorry. Do you suck on it, or do you go straight for it? Like, what's your approach to consuming, that's a good word, consuming a candy cane?
I suck hard.
There it is. Okay.
I used to lick it, and that doesn't sound any better.
Did you ever? Okay, so when
you're just gonna have to say it. I used to suck it, and then like a lollipop.
Yeah. Okay.
What I used to try and do, and this might make me a crazy person, but I used to
try to stab things when it got really pointy.
Tried to get it as sharp as I could.
Yes, there it is. Okay, no, that's normal. Okay, I just want you to know that's how I thought it was always done. My kids will open a candy cane up all the way. They will put it in their mouth and just chomp down on that mofo. Like they'll just chew. They'll do the same thing with like peppermints. Like they'll just eat it. They won't suck on it. They'll just chew it like it's regular, like a candy.
Wow.
Yes. Okay.
Where does Beth land on this?
I don't know. I haven't asked her yet. I gotta feel she's probably in my camp. I got to assume, because I think she's the one who first said like she saw them do it and like just got this look like this. He's a sociopath. He's crazy. Wow. This is nuts. I don't know, but like chomping down on them though.
I like your kids. They're good kids, but
I mean,
I don't know. That's weird.
It's hard to. I don't know, man.
That's weird.
I'll see. Over the next few years, I'm gonna see how this unfolds.
Hopefully, as they get older, they get wiser.
Yeah, or honestly, maybe all the kids are doing it, and that's why they do it, and that's just the new thing.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know,
I feel like that's a good way to get cavities.
Probably. Well, I mean, they brush your teeth and all, but like he'll do that with like a Tootsie Pop though. Like he'll just open it up and like he'll be like the owl in the commercial. He'll do 3 licks and he'll chomp down.
He doesn't like crack teeth doing that? Jeez.
No, dude. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kids have
it's
jaws
pretty
of
impressive.
steel.
I guess. I don't know. Oh man. All right. Well, since we're on the topic of Christmas treats, is there any that's like even to this day maybe like a go-to, like if it's going to be there, you're going to eat it? but it's not something that's necessarily made year round. Like a Christmas cookie, obviously a very obvious example, or gingerbread cookie, whatever. But
the Reese's Christmas trees.
It's a Reese's peanut butter cup.
No,
though.
they're different. They taste better.
They taste triangular, is what you're telling me?
They use different. No, they taste tree. They use different chocolate. They use different peanut butter. I don't know. They just taste better.
Oh my God. I don't believe that. That's okay. All right, fine. Whatever. That's your answer. I don't care. So for me, there's two. One is a gingerbread cookie. I love gingerbread.
We didn't. I thought we were talking about candy. We didn't mention cookies.
I said treats.
Oh, well, you did say that.
Yeah,
So,
I said treats, and you didn't. Yeah. So okay. So all right, is there something else then that's not the same thing as that's sold year round, like a Reese's?
Oh yeah. Well then, definitely, like you were gonna say, gingerbread cookies for sure.
Okay.
And then like Christmas cookies galore.
Yeah. Because they were like, it wasn't like it was like a sugar cookie, but it wasn't that sweet because you'd put icing on it. My mom had this recipe where it was basically like powdered sugar and water with food coloring, and then we would like paint the cookies with it.
Yep.
Did you do that? Was that a thing?
No, we did it in school though.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was a mess, but
I'm sure. Well, the food coloring just would get everywhere.
Everywhere.
So, but we loved it because my mom would let us, like I said, she would let us do it and decorate. We'd throw on like we call them sprinkles. Do you call them sprinkles or jimmies, by the way?
They're sprinkles.
Thank you. Okay. I thought so. All right. If my wife ends up listening to this, they're sprinkles, Beth. Anyway.
Sorry.
So, but I'd also we'd throw in the sprinkles. We had all different kinds. And so we could like decorate them ourselves. Then we would lay them out and they would dry. And my mom would basically start making cookies early December and just like keep making them until about halfway through the month. And then we'd have like a pretty good supply to get us through essentially the holiday season at that point.
I was made Wookiee cookies one year.
What is a Wookiee cookie?
It's a gingerbread cookie with like icing, like the sash of Chewbacca.
Oh, nice.
And you take like a knife and like make little hairs on them and stuff like that.
I like that.
They were fantastic.
You know what I thought you were going to say? It was a gingerbread cookie that wasn't cooled yet that drops on the floor and gets dog hair all over it, and you put it back on the table to cool. That's a Wookiee cookie.
That's horrible.
I'm glad it wasn't that.
It's a gingerbread cookie made to look
that's
like
what
a
I
Wookiee.
pictured in my head. Yeah. Did you ever hear that one song? It's like, what can you get a Wookiee for Christmas when he already owns a comb?
No.
You never heard that song?
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
Oh, go listen to it. It's really good.
Okay.
I'm
not going to do it right now, but you know.
Well, no, not right now. I just sang most of it to you, so you know it's fine. Just you wait a little bit, let it settle, and then go back to it. All right. Well, that's perfectly organic transition into Christmas music. Do you have like I'll tell you this right now. I have a very different point of view on Christmas music ever since I worked at a radio station that only played Christmas music starting in November. Ruined it for me.
Yeah.
But there are songs now though that I do still love. There are certainly ones that I hate. Like I'll tell you what I hate because it played every hour on the hour was Sleigh Ride. Do you know that song? Yeah. Just hear the sleigh bells jingle. Yep. Yeah. Hate that song with a passion. Can't stand it. What about you? Like, okay, sorry. I just started off really negative there. Let's talk about songs that you do love, though, Christmas time.
It's not going to get much better with me because I didn't work at a radio
retail.
station. You work in retail, they start playing those Christmas songs in September.
Yes.
Well, after Halloween.
Yeah.
And then it's Christmas songs, and it's just over and over and over and over again. Dominic the Donkey, if I never hear that song again, it'll be too soon.
You know, what's funny is my wife loves that song so much that she'll play it in July. Like, doesn't even care. She'll just listen to it. My kids love it.
What's the other one? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's a classic song. I've heard it too many times. I'm not going to say I hate it just because it's a classic.
You wouldn't skip it if you were listening to a playlist, but you're not going to love it. You're going to tune out.
I'm not gonna really focus on it.
Yeah.
But other than that, Christmas songs I enjoy. Jingle Bells.
Okay. Do you have a version that you like?
The original Jingle Bells.
There's no original Jingle Bells.
The original Jingle Bells.
It's a public domain song. Everyone covers Jingle Bells.
I forget who sings it.
Like Sinatra? Do you like the Sinatra version?
That's probably the one I'm talking about.
With the women, like the ladies.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's a classic. It's not the original. The song was written in like 18 something, so there's no original version of that song at this point.
So the one that Frank Sinatra sang.
That was then covered by Michael Bublé.
Exactly. Not that one.
Yeah. So that definitely not that one.
Not that one. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
That's a good one. Yep. Brenda, what's her name? Brenda something or other.
And when I was a kid, I was a big Elvis fan. So Blue Christmas.
Oh, that's a good one too. I like that. Yep. All right. Those are good. So for me as a kid, actually there's a couple. So one is Feliz Navidad.
Also a good one.
And the reason is because it was one of the songs that they played on the Christmas Eve on Sesame Street special from the 70s that we had on tape.
Oh, yeah.
It's where Big Bird's doing figure skating.
Oh, that's right.
Uh-huh.
There's so many things that come back to me whenever we do that.
I know, isn't it great? So that's why I feel like I say this every episode. That's why I love doing this podcast because, not only is it good conversation for us to remember things, but if you're listening to this, you might be thinking of things like, oh my God, I remember that too. So hopefully that triggered something for you. The Christmas Eve on Sesame Street special was one of my favorites. That's another one that I watched every year, to the point where I'll find it on YouTube now just to put it on and fall asleep to it because I love it so much. But anyway, so Feliz Navidad from that show. I love that song and I will listen to it every time it's on. Also covered by Michael Bublé, but will not acknowledge that. What else? I do love the Chipmunk Christmas song.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't care. I think it's terrific.
Yeah.
And then there's songs that I love now, but if we're talking about back then, those are probably the main two that I loved hearing when they came on. And then I always love Silent Night. One of my just always loved Silent Night.
That's definitely a good one.
So Silent Night was always a good one.
Which Silent Night though?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I think Aaron Neville was the one that I heard the most.
That's probably the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, I think Aaron Neville's great. Actually, yeah, that's another one too. Is the Please Come Home for Christmas from Aaron Neville.
Yep.
I think Bon Jovi ended up covering it as well. That it's not as good. No, Aaron Neville's the man. Aaron Neville is a guy. He is the human equivalent of Kenny G on the saxophone.
Pretty much.
If you hear him sing and you hear Kenny G playing the same note, you cannot tell the difference. No. So anyway, that's a challenge. Go listen to Kenny G and then listen to Aaron Neville, and you tell me which is which. Anyway, so those are the ones that I loved as a kid. As an adult, I do love, it's one of my favorites. I'll only listen to it at Christmas time, but I look forward to it. It's the first song I play when I start listening to Christmas music.
It's Mariah Carey, isn't it?
It's not. I was going to say a really bad word, but I'm not going to say it. It's the holiday season, and I'm pretty sure it already hit my curse quota for this episode. Screw that song. That song can die in a fire. I hate that song now because that song, that song is played to death. To death on the radio, in stores. I hate that song.
I mean,
I will skip that
Carey,
song,
but I can't.
It's her and Michael Bublé. They drag him out of their caves November 31st for their Christmas, and then they go back in their caves December 31st. That's it. That's what they're known for now.
They're done for.
So anyway, sorry, Mariah, if you're listening to this, I think you're a lovely person, but I hate that song so much. But no, my other one that I love, it's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but it's definitely a newer rendition. It's by Sam Smith, if you know Sam Smith.
Yes, that's actually a really good song.
Love that version of the song. I will listen to that. That's the first one I will put on my playlist to kick off the holiday season. It just puts me in a good headspace.
Yeah.
All right. So listen,
and last one for me was
okay.
From A Muppet's Christmas Carol. It's the Ghost of Christmas Present song.
Oh yeah.
That's
What's that called?
Really
I don't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
It's good though.
I don't know. I don't remember what it's called, but it's great.
Well, it's even better when it's sang by a giant Muppet.
Exactly.
I mean, that just makes any song better for that matter. So, all right. Well, listen, we've talked all about, leading up to the big day. And by big day, I'm talking Christmas Eve, because Christmas Eve was for us the pinnacle of excitement, right? That was the day, right? So all day, that was probably the slowest day of the month for me.
Yes.
It just
that
dragged
because longest day of the entire year.
School is done. And there's not much to do. Your friends are all probably traveling or gone or with their own families. So you're not really going outside to play necessarily. You might be, but in general, it's family time. You're home and you're not allowed to play video games all day. At least I wasn't. I wasn't allowed to play video games all day because there was stuff to do around the house. I helped my mom clean the house because we would host Christmas dinner. So, and it just sucked. It was just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then, because we didn't do Christmas Eve dinner at our house, we had Christmas Day dinner. I know some families do Christmas Eve, like do it big. Like I know in the Italian, culture, it's very big to do like the 7 fish dish on Christmas Eve. Yeah, we never did that. I had it like I dated a girl who was Italian once, and I had it at her house, and it was
my God.
Yeah, I'm not a fish fan, so
Neither
I don't like seafood. Anyway, but did you do anything like Christmas Eve dinner? Did you have a Christmas like a big thing for that or no?
No, I mean my mom made dinner. As she did most nights, but it was just basically just me, mom, and dad,
normal dinner.
And it was just a normal dinner. I mean, maybe a little bit more extravagant than typical, but
yeah,
normally it was just dinner.
Did you do any? So, like, actually, I do remember this as I got a little bit older. One of my uncles, he lived about 45 minutes away, but he had a big Christmas Eve party when we got old enough. My parents would take us to. So Christmas Eve, as I got a little bit older, we went to a really fun party actually, and then went home. But as a kid, yeah, it was just being home, normal dinner, and then did you do like the night before Christmas? Was that read to you as a kid before like Christmas Eve or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Same here.
Definitely.
So my dad,
and we also used to do one present Christmas Eve.
Yes, well, we would do that, and then so for us, it was the siblings would give to each other. Obviously different for you because, you're the only child.
Yep.
But yeah, so for us, it was we would give each other one gift. Actually, I think the brothers would all exchange gifts that we got for each other. But yes, it was always something the night before. And then we would always usually go up to sleep in the same room together on Christmas Eve. Like that was our big thing. Of course, we would never sleep. That's the thing, right?
No, you never sleep.
Did you, so I was going to say, so like, were you like the kid that would go to bed or like you were up waiting, you were trying to listen for Santa? Like,
well, I always tried to listen for Santa, but my room is the top floor of the house.
Oh, okay.
So like my ceiling is like next stop roof.
Yeah.
So if Santa's
you're
landing
listening for the
up there,
roof. Yeah, you're going to know.
Yeah, I'm going to know. But, I never heard of it. But my parents would leave out cookies and milk, but they'd also leave carrots outside
for the reindeer. Absolutely. That's a thing. You know what they do now? I think this is a newer thing, but like the reindeer food, which is basically like oatmeal and glitter, which is, don't feed that to animals, folks. Jesus. But anyway, you would like dump it on your lawn and that's like reindeer
outside the next day.
And it was either that or you just all of a sudden start seeing glitter and random animal droppings throughout the neighborhood. Like, oh, well, I know where that came from. Yep. So we would do the carrots and the cookies. And then, of course, we'd wake up the next day. We'll get to that in a second. But, cookies were mostly eaten. It's very messy eater, Santa, because there's always crumbs all over the plate. And just, clearly, and, like lip marks on the mug and, whatever.
No elf on the shelf yet.
Yep. So anyway, so they would read us the book. We'd go to bed. We would not sleep at all. I swear I heard him coming through our front door one time because we didn't have a chimney, obviously. So he would have to, he came in the front door at our house. And, I think we were wide awake by, I don't know, I want to say 6 a.m. at the latest.
That's the late, I was going to say.
Yeah.
The sun definitely wasn't coming up yet.
No. And so what did you do? So like you were already awake. Your parents probably not. They're probably sleeping. Did you go get them or did you still wait for them to come get you?
I went to go get them one year. And I never did it again. Because I went and I was like, Mom, Dad, it's Christmas. You got to get up. And I think it was like 4:00 in the morning.
Okay.
And my dad said, come here. So I ran around to his side of the bed. He goes, go back to bed for 2 more hours. If you're outside of your room, I will tell Santa to bring all the presents back to the North Pole.
Oh!
And Christmas will be canceled. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Done. Okay, good. Yeah. So I remember... So our room was upstairs that we would sleep in, and our parents' room was like right across the hall, right? So we would always hear, it wasn't far for us to go get them. But I think as we got older, they said, don't come get us. We'll come get you. And I think my mom was pretty good. So like 6 o'clock, she would come in. It was still dark out. I remember it was still dark out, and she would bring us breakfast upstairs while, we were she was getting a cup of coffee. Like, all right, let me just wake up for a minute and then we'll all go downstairs. She would always bring us Pop-Tarts. That was like our go-to breakfast on Christmas Day.
Breakfast champions.
Oh, it really is, and to the point where it's a tradition now in this Kemp household where, you know, I got to go buy them probably next week. Is we're going to get Pop-Tarts, and that'll be what we have in bed upstairs before we decide to go downstairs and see if Santa came. That is our tradition. That's what we're going to do.
I love it.
So this is where it started. Was growing up, we always had Pop-Tarts, and so all right. So listen, it's a big day. It's finally time to go downstairs and see what Santa brought you. You get downstairs, and I don't know if I'm hoping it was like this in your house. For us, it was, I mean, it's also 3 kids, so that certainly makes a difference, but like wall to wall presents all over the floor. Like you can't really walk around. It was quite a sight to see. I mean, was it similar in your, I mean, I know you're an only child, and so obviously not as many, I'm assuming, but I don't know.
Well, see, as an only child, I was spoiled rotten.
Yes.
So there were quite a few presents under the tree, and most of them were mine.
Yeah. Okay.
But I remember before we opened presents, we all sat down and had breakfast together.
Oh, God. Did that drive you crazy?
It made me wild because my mom would cook it. I have to cook it first, and usually I'd get pancakes, so I was excited about that. But, you know, I sat at the kitchen table, and where I sat, the tree was directly behind me.
Oh, so you weren't even looking at it.
I couldn't look at it, but I knew what was behind me because I had seen it when I come downstairs, and I'm sitting there. I think I ate like, you know, my mom would always make me like one big pancake. I think I ate it in about 4 seconds every year. And I'm like, all right, are we ready? She's like, no, we have to clean up and all this stuff. And she's like, you can go sit in the living room and sort all the presents.
Oh, God.
So I'd be like, 1 for me, 1 for dad, 1 for mom, 1 for me. 2 for me, 3 for me, 4 for me, 5 for me. And then like my parents' gifts, I'd be like, those are for them, and just kind of kick them over.
That just was some generic pile. That's all them. This is me. You know, it's funny you say that. I remember now on the years that she wouldn't bring us Pop-Tarts upstairs, we would have to eat breakfast first. And it was still Pop-Tarts, but we would have to eat them downstairs. But we were allowed to take our stockings down. Because we hung our stockings on the door frame. We were allowed to take our stockings down and open up what was in our stockings while we ate breakfast before we opened the main presents.
Yeah, we actually never did anything in our stockings.
What?
Yeah, no, we just had we had stockings for decoration, but we never really put them in there.
No, man, we filled those bad. Well, I didn't fill them, but they were filled every Christmas Eve. They were filled, and it was great. And so we would do the stockings first, and then we would do the presents. And so. For us, again, so if you're listening to this and you had siblings, I'm thinking you probably had a similar experience. For us, there was two schools of thought. It was everyone for themselves, just tear into those mofos until it's done. The problem with that is it's very exciting in the moment, but then much like many things in life that are fantastic and they're over in 30 seconds, it just goes by so fast. So it just, you know, and then you don't really get to savor the moment. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Anyway, so what we would do, it was usually my mom. We would take turns. And here's a present for Danny. Here's a present for Adam. Here's a present for Matt. And we would all open and we would all see what we opened. And then, you know, we would go around and it made it last a lot longer. So honestly, in hindsight, those are probably the years that were probably the leanest. I don't remember them necessarily, but maybe we had fewer presents. So they wanted to make it last longer. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, but I remember as we got older, it was all right, cool. You were all going to get a present and open it all at the same time. But it was still, we would kind of pace ourselves. I mean, what about you?
Yeah, it was kind of like mom opens a present, dad opens a present, Dan opens a present.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So everybody, you know, could get like acknowledged. And you had to open the cards first.
There was cards for every gift?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we had to open Christmas cards. So like I'd give mom and dad a card. Mom and dad
I got
give me a card. There was a card from Santa. There was a card from my uncle, yada, 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 so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
All the cards had to get opened first. And then you could move on to presents.
Okay. All right. And so, all right. And then you would take turns and you open them all up. And, all right, man. Well, listen, I think this is actually the perfect time to, bring a little guest list action into this, because if I recall, you had, curated a list of, was it your best Christmas gifts?
It's the top 10 gifts that I got as a kid.
As a kid. Okay, perfect, man. Well, let's go and, we're already at like an hour and 15, so we're not going to dive too deep into these, because maybe we'll even do a follow-up, for the YouTube channel, like best Christmas gifts that you got as a kid, in general, what most kids got kind of deal. But, all right, well, let's move on down here. Let's start with number 10.
So, the Talk Boy.
Oh, from Home Alone.
From Home Alone.
Yeah. That was made for the movie, right?
It was made for the movie. It was a toy made for the movie that they released, and it was great.
Yes, I always wanted one of those. I didn't have one. I always wanted one. My friend had one.
I don't even know what happened to it. I'm sure it's long gone at this point. But
oh man,
I opened that and I'm like, oh my god, it's a thing from a movie, and I think it was the first thing from a movie that I had.
Yeah. Okay.
Now
they didn't make a lot of things from movies. I feel
not really.
So the only other one I can think of is like they made a Turbo Man action figure.
Yes.
When Jingle All the Way came out, and I know that because again, same friend had one of those as well.
I never had Turbo Man.
Me neither. That's okay. We didn't even talk about that. Jingle All the Way, fantastic Christmas movie.
That was a great movie.
Yes,
I for a toy. It's great.
So I've been doing impressions on our Generation S TikTok page.
They're fantastic. If you've
seen them,
I have seen them.
Thank you. So I got a request. I haven't done it yet, but my friend wants me to record one of me impersonating Arnold reading off the reindeer list. Do you want to hear it right now? I'll give you a sneak peek.
Please. I can't wait.
You ready? Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen.
Oh, God.
Anyway. All right, jury's out if we're keeping that in the episode or not.
Thank you for that.
Anyway.
That needs to stay.
Yeah, all right, fine. All right, Talk Boy, number 10. Great choice there. All right, what you got for number 9?
Music.
Like CDs, tapes.
Like CDs. You used to get mostly CDs. Sometime early on they were cassette tapes, but CDs. And I remember distinctly what I used to get every year was a couple of the CDs that I wanted, and then the one generic one that I think pretty much everybody would get. Now that's what I call music.
Okay. And that was like the ultimate hits of like, here's what was popular this year or this month, whatever it is now, because it's just there's so many of them.
Yep. But I remember distinctly, I'd always unwrap one CD and it would always be one of the now ones.
Nice. See, I never got I got a CD one time, and it's one of my favorite CDs, so it's certainly a good one. I got it was Weird Al's Running with Scissors.
Yep.
Do you remember that album?
Absolutely.
And I loved it because it had the Star Wars parody, The Saga Begins, on it. And it was before I had seen The Phantom Menace in theaters. But so it was like I felt like I kind of knew the plot before I even saw the movie kind of deal. You know what I mean?
He was a genius. I can't wait for that movie.
He still is.
Life.
Oh, it's already out.
It is?
Yeah, it's on it's like Crackle, or it's one of those like free streaming platforms.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway. All right, man. Yeah. So CDs, that's awesome. Always a good thing to get. What do you got for number 8?
Lego.
Ooh, Lego's good.
Lego sets. Any Lego was great.
That was the disadvantage of having siblings, is that like Legos aren't cheap, and so
I hear you.
They weren't going to buy a Lego set for one kid and the other kid's getting socks, right? So like it had to be equal. So we always got good stuff, but Lego was certainly, I mean, even back then it was expensive. It's always
been expensive.
Yeah, and I love Lego. Don't get me wrong, and I'm probably going to do an episode on Lego, but I always just had kind of a big tub of random Lego. I never had the sets. As an adult, I have a ton of them and I love them.
That's how I got the big tub of Lego, was all the sets that I used to get.
Oh,
and then eventually, eventually I had them, and then I'd break them down and build other stuff, and then I lose the directions, and then they just became mystery parts.
Well, you know what's really cool? I don't know if you know this or not, but they have an app, Lego does, where you can look up every single instruction manual they ever made on your phone.
You have told me that in the past.
It's
terrific.
Amazing. It is. It's honestly, I've used it a few times. So I have a set at my office that I keep on display. It's the Mario Brothers question mark block.
Yes.
And a coworker of mine decided I'm going to mess with Dan's Legos, and like this was an accident, but he accidentally knocked off a few pieces on the inside of it.
Oh no.
And I was pissed. So, but I look, all right, well, let me just see real quick. So I had the app on my phone. I looked up the set. So I had the instruction manual there. I could figure out where things went. I put it 10 minutes. It's back together. It's
amazing.
Yeah.
Because that is the risk with Lego, is if you drop it and you go, oh God.
Yeah.
Now what?
Do you have a favorite Lego set from your childhood?
There was one set that came with it was like a Space Explorer set, and it came with like this white ship that was like 2 feet long.
Yes, that's really popular now. Actually, is that the one where the spaceman from the Lego movie came from?
Yes.
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 Okay. Yes. I saw those recently at a museum. They had like a Lego theme thing going on, so people brought in their sets. They just re-released all those
at a museum.
Okay, but no, they weren't on display behind class. People brought them in it was a space themed thing, so they brought in all their space Legos.
Stuff I had as a kid is in a museum.
No. Some of it might be, but no. All right, man. So Legos for number 8. What you got for number 7?
Box sets of like tapes,
movies,
or DVDs, or movies,
like TV shows,
whatever it was. You got a box set, either VHS or eventually DVDs.
Yeah, because VHS, man, how big were those? I mean, they literally were in boxes.
But I remember getting the Star Trek VHS box set of all the original movies.
Oh, the movies. Yeah.
The movies. And the VHS formed the Enterprise, like when they were all put into the slots.
Oh, like the box art?
Yeah, the box art.
Oh, yeah. I used to love when they did that. They would, you would like, what order to put them in because they would have a picture on the front.
Exactly.
I think Ninja Turtles did that with one of their DVD releases. Yep. I always love when they do that. That stuff's really cool because it makes you, if you only have one or two, you have to get the rest to finish the picture.
It was a genius marketing idea.
Well, you got them all at once, so they blew that load on you pretty quickly. Oh, man. All right. So box sets for number 7. Good choice. All right. Number 6.
Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about this. I never got into Magic the Gathering, but I know you were a big collector of those.
Yeah.
Do you still collect those? Or?
Oh, yeah. Not right now during Christmas tree season, but every Friday I go play a format called Modern at a card place on Long Island. And, you go, you have a good time, you play cards, and I'm still into it. Yeah.
Nice.
It's fun.
And was Christmas what kind of kicked that off for you, or?
Kinda. You'd always get a couple of packs here and there, but I don't think my parents really knew what they were doing.
Gotcha.
So they would go into whatever store and they said Magic the Gathering on them, and they're like, all right, well, we'll buy them 3 or 4 packs. And And honestly, when I was a kid, I didn't know what I was doing with them either. So now I wish I hadn't opened any of those packs. But
well, sure. Well, if you still play, though, I mean, so you're opening decks now, obviously, if you're playing with them, right?
Well, I gave away all my really old Magic cards in high school.
That probably wasn't good then. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Did you, speaking of which, did you ever get into any other card games? I know we've talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! I know you did some of that, or still do maybe.
Still do Yu-Gi-Oh!
Did you have Pokemon cards back in the day?
I had a few Pokemon cards. I never got into Pokemon.
Okay.
I mean, I was into Pokemon, but the video games and stuff like that, I never got into the card game.
No.
Yu-Gi-Oh! I was really big into for a long time. I was actually like tournament level playing kind of thing, won a couple of championships. And Magic were the 2 that I were really into. Nice.
All right. Okay, that was number 6, Magic cards. Okay, halfway through. What you got for number 5?
Hess trucks.
Oh, yeah, every boy got those, I feel. My kids have them, like from my brother. He sent them down for them for Christmas one year. Loves them.
My dad used to get 2 Hess trucks every year.
Okay.
And he would get one, open it, take the batteries out, put it back in the box.
Yeah.
We have every Hess truck from 1985 to probably 2012.
Yeah, because they'd put out new ones every year, right?
Exactly. Every year they have new Hess truck. And he'd keep one in the box and give one to me to play with.
Yeah.
And I still have them all in the box.
Well, and
unfortunately, they're not worth anything, but.
Well, no, but they're still nostalgic.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
The smartest thing you just said was that he took the batteries out first because I don't know if my wife just felt guilty or whatever, but she always puts them back in. I've taken them out a few times. It's like a fire truck, right? And those things are loud, dude.
They're very loud.
Like they're some of the loudest toy cars I've ever seen.
Super loud.
Yes. So I've tried taking them out and they always end up back in the truck. So maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's my son knows how to do batteries now.
I bet you he does.
Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, Hess trucks, excellent choice though for number 5. That leads us to number 4.
Tamagotchis.
Oh yeah, I didn't have them. My brother-in-law did. He wants to do an episode on Tamagotchi because he loved them. So Tamagotchis. Tell me about how many did you have?
I had probably 3 Tamagotchis.
Okay. And so,
because I couldn't keep the damn things alive.
Well, I was going to say, I never had them. If they die on the thing, is that thing useless? Is it bricked at that point?
You
or?
had to take like a pen or something like that. It had one of those little rubber buttons in the back that you had to reset it.
Okay.
So you could do it again, but we didn't know that.
Gotcha.
So that's why I had 3 of them.
You just assumed it was dead.
Right. I'm like, it died. I need a new one.
So you know what Tamagotchis to me were the gateway to was, did you ever have like Neopets?
Yes.
Yes. My friends, I never did. My friends did. He also had a Tamagotchi. But you take care of your animals or whatever and, just.
Exactly.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
I never got into it though. I don't know. And then you know what I always wanted, never had was a Furby. Did you have a Furby?
No, I never had a demon possessed Furby.
I know, like that was such a hype though, right? This was like the late 90s.
Huge. Furby was huge.
Yes, like I read news articles about how like they would take them with them to like it was a weird trend. And I say that like there's probably weird stuff that happens now with like toys, but like that was like a big one. That's like. Yeah.
And if you find a Furby alone in the woods on like a rock or something like that, please don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Just walk away from it and just don't make eye contact. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. And if your spider sense is not tingling, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, just don't.
No, that's good advice. Yeah, good safety tip. Thanks, Egon. Oh, man. All right, cool. And number 4, we had Tamagotchis. What does that mean for number 3?
Pogs.
Oh, Pogs. Yep. We're firing in all 90 cylinders right now.
Oh yeah. Did you know how to play Pogs? No one knew how to play Pogs.
No, well, sort of. So like I tried looking it up where like you throw the slammer down and whatever Pogs fly out the ring you get to keep or something like that. It was pretty stupid.
Did you know that back in the 90s though?
I did, but we didn't actually play. I didn't play with friends. We just had my mom bought a bunch, or I think we even had like it was called a milk cap maker. Like we actually made our own where you could like put your own stickers on them and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But like it was all about just collecting what was on them, and like in the slammer, that was the big thing. If you had a metal slammer, like you were sitting pretty.
I had like 3 metal slammers.
Yeah, man, which are basically just really thick quarters. Or I guess they're pretty big. They're
like silver dollars.
Silver dollar sized. Like, do not throw that at me because that will really hurt.
Yeah, that definitely causing injury. Metal.
Yeah. And then, but I can't remember if it was the Pog itself or the slammer, but like the hologram ones. I remember I had a couple of those.
I think both.
Maybe both.
I think you could get both.
I think I had Goosebumps actually, Goosebumps Pogs. I think I remember those specifically. Man,
I had Dragon Ball Z ones I know for sure.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, because that was a big 90s thing too. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right. So Pogs at number 3. We got 2 left. I'm pretty excited now. Number 2, what do you got?
Number 2 is play sets.
Okay, like action figure play sets.
Like action figure play sets. And I remember distinctly 2 years in a row, I got Star Trek play sets.
Oh, nice.
And one was the Bridge of the Enterprise.
Okay.
From The Next Generation.
Yep.
And it was made by Playmates. And, they had all those action figures back in. So I got a couple action figures and I got this play set. And the bridge would light up and it had sounds and the view screen would work and you could fire phasers at a Romulan warbird. It was the coolest thing I ever got. I was so excited. I played with this thing forever.
And you know what's interesting too, because I like Star Trek now as an adult. I couldn't get into it as a kid personally, but of all the things to like play with, like Star Trek there wasn't a lot of action in a lot of the episodes. It was more kind of cerebral. Like they didn't really have a lot of like starship battles, right? Or maybe they did.
No, they had quite a few.
Did they? Okay, because every episode I remember watching, it was like them discussing a really deep topic on the bridge or what have you, and maybe there was like shots fired and everyone fell off their seats or whatever. But
I mean that was a lot of it as well. But
but I remember the toys were really cool. Like I do remember I had them. My parents got them for me because my mom was actually really big into Star Trek, and so she got me some of the sets. So no, man, that's great. Do you have any of those still?
The second one I got was the transporter.
Okay. Is that where you would spin them around and they would disappear?
No, this one was the Next Generation transporter, where it's actually sitting next to me right now. It's right next to my microphone. You put a figure in there, right?
Okay.
And you'd push these 3 buttons up, and it would make the transporter sound, and the figure would actually disappear.
Where did he go?
It's still in there, but it's a mirror.
Oh,
and the mirror
I gotcha.
would change the reflection, so it would disappear, so you wouldn't see it.
It's like a two-way mirror.
Exactly. It's a two-way mirror.
Oh, where they like charge it electrically or whatever.
Exactly.
That's interesting. You know, it's funny. I just went to the museum, like a kids museum with the kids, the same one I saw the Legos at, and they had like that on display. You could like turn a light on it. It would make a two-way mirror go from a two-way to a one-way.
100% what it was. And
Genius.
It's so cool. It still works today.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll just switch it on. There's a figure in there, and I'll just make them transport. And I'll be like, this is the coolest thing of all time.
It is, man. I remember I had something like that. It was remember Beetlejuice made toys?
Yes.
So we had a bunch of those, and there was one where you could put Beetlejuice in the coffin, and then if you like pull a switch, you'd pull it out and it'd be tiny Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Like,
I had that.
It was like purple and had a big old orange sign that you would tilt back and forth. So that stuff like would always blow my mind as a kid. Like looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, really. But it was awesome. I like to this day that would amuse me. Anyway, excuse me. So Star Trek toys at number 2. Before we get to number 1, do we have any honorable mentions with us today?
Action figures of any kind.
Oh, so that wouldn't have made your number. See, that would have been my number 1 because that was what I always look forward to every year. And they always had the most predictable shape when they were wrapped.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like a flat-sided, like, trapezoid, right? That was the shape of an action figure wrapping most of the time.
Exactly.
So you knew.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason it didn't make the list is because you could always tell what an action figure was. And it was
probably a guarantee every year, too. Yeah.
And it was kind of a guarantee every year that you'd get an action figure of some sort.
Did you, I know we just talked about Star Trek and their play sets, but was there like a go-to action figure line for you that you would play with on a consistent basis?
It's a good question.
Like for me, it was Ninja Turtles, hands down. That was like my go-to.
Honestly, it was probably either the Ninja Turtle, Power Rangers.
Okay.
Or Star Trek.
Okay. Yeah. So pretty much, like I said, for me, it was Turtles. Definitely some Power Rangers as well. Not so much Star Trek. A little bit
Star
here
Wars.
and there.
Star Wars.
I didn't have any Star Wars toys.
I had a lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Star Wars toys.
Did you ever do the classic Star Trek, Star Wars? Did you play with them side by side?
Yeah. I had crossover.
Yeah?
I definitely had crossover episodes in my head. Yeah.
That's the best, aren't they?
They were great.
It's kind of like I would do the Turtles and the Power Rangers, and I'm like, yeah, they should make a show about this. Wait a minute, they totally did. And then they made a comic book. Anyway, sorry, I'm geeking out too much there. All right, so honorable mentions, action figures, excellent choice. I would like to throw in a couple of honorable mentions of specific toys that I got as a kid that I remember. One was the Creepy Crawlers oven.
Creepy Crawlers.
Did you have that?
I never had the oven, but I remember one of my friends did.
Yeah. They had some cool ones. Like they had the bugs, but I remember they had a Power Rangers one too, where you can make little mini Power Rangers goopies.
Yep.
And it had like the glue that you would squeeze in and it would do it. And so, I got a Creepy Crawlers oven one year and that was a lot of fun. The other one it's not the same thing. So, but to me, I picture them together as, do you remember the Dr. Dreadful sets?
Dr. Dreadful. Were they kind of like the Polly Pocket things?
No, that's Mighty Max.
That's Mighty Max. Okay.
Love those too, but no. Dr. Dreadful was these like chemistry sets, but it was all food chemistry.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So you can make like a wart grow on your hand and you can lick it off.
They were crazy.
Oh, I loved it. So I remember I got that one year and that was pretty awesome. I think me and my brothers all got our own set and we would all like spend that Christmas like making jelly brains and stuff. It was amazing. So anyway, I hopefully neither of those two were your number 1, correct?
No.
All right, perfect. All right, well then that brings us to it. What do you got for number 1?
Video games.
Video games. Yeah, come on.
Because video games back then were expensive.
It's still pretty expensive.
Well, no, I'm saying, like games are $60 now. Everybody accepts that.
But they were $60 back then,
exactly.
Which was even more.
20 years ago, they were still $60. And
that's true. Probably closer to $100 now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and game systems along with that. Any time you unpack this big box and you got that N64, there's a classic video of that kid unwrapping a 64 and going crazy.
He's pumped. Was that you?
Oh, absolutely. I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
And just games, when you got games, because a lot of the times we were renting them.
That's true. Yeah, you wouldn't own a lot of them.
You wouldn't own a lot of them, but when you would rent, your parents would take notice, hopefully, and they'd be like, all right, you know what? Let me buy this for them.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what I did is I had rented GoldenEye.
Okay, for the N64.
And I had a copy from Blockbuster
Okay.
With everything unlocked, all the cheats, all the missions, everything.
Oh, that was true. Yeah, because if you got a new game, then I think I know where this is going, but you tell me the story.
So then I got GoldenEye for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I still had the rented one. So I put the new one in the Blockbuster box and kept the one with all the unlocked stuff.
Yeah, because you weren't saving no memory card. It was stored in the cartridge.
Exactly. It was stored on the cartridge. Yep.
Oh, my God. You dastardly, evil-deeded person.
It's all right. They're out of
I would have done the same thing. No, yeah. I remember that. Like, I would rent certain... Actually, it was funny because, like, no, we didn't, because I didn't rent Super Nintendo or N64 games because I didn't own them until I was older. I didn't have a Super Nintendo until I was in high school, which is ridiculous because by then I also had a PS2. N64 I got in like 9th or 10th grade, so same thing. We weren't really renting games at that point. We owned quite a few just from friends. We mainly rented Sega and Nintendo games, and those didn't have save files, so I never really had that experience, but I certainly had friends who did. And I remember we rented, my friend rented Super Mario World for Super Nintendo, and like one of the files was like totally beat, and everything was like there's no Switch Palaces, they were all gotten and all that stuff, and so we had to start. But I thought that was just, I was like, oh man, somebody here to beat this. We got to beat this now. We got to beat that number, or whatever the number was percentage wise of that completed. And so I remember that was fun. So video games. Excellent choice. That's to me still like if I get a video game now, I'm pumped.
Oh yeah,
you know
I'm still stoked. I'm hoping
I have disposable income and I can still get excited for that. You know what I mean? So, actually, speaking of which, I did last year. I did get it's a video game related. I got my VR headset last year for Christmas.
Very nice. Your Oculus. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, we played the Oculus a couple times. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, man. So. Oh, all right. Well, listen, that was an excellent list of Christmas gifts. There's not much more to cover here. I think we're probably going to wrap things up. Before we go, though, anything of note between Christmas and New Year's that you did, or was it pretty much just chilling and enjoying your stuff?
It was honestly just chilling and enjoying your stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there it is, man. Same here. Christmas dinner was usually like some kind of a roast beef or something.
Yep.
And grandparents came over, did gifts, food, delicious, awesome, and then off for the next week and a half. So yeah, just whether it's playing video games, playing with my new action figures, whatever, it's all it was. There was little expectation of doing productive things around the house. They knew, like, listen, let the kids enjoy. That's what we're going to do this year, man. After Christmas, I'm taking the week off between Christmas and New Year's, and so is Beth, and we're just going to sit and kick back, and the kids are just going to have a good time, and we're not going to do anything crazy. It's going to be awesome.
I love it.
So excited.
It's great.
So excited. Now, the reason I went only up until New Year's is because if the stars continue to be in alignment, I will be putting out a New Year's Eve episode probably the week between Christmas and New Year's, so the 28th. So basically the week after this one airs, I will be putting out a New Year's Eve episode discussing that as well. That will be with my wife. So we plan to have some good discussions. So if you remember listening to my wife on our Harry Potter episode, she will be back for the New Year's Eve episode. But in the case of our Christmas episode, Dan, I want to thank you so much for being a unexpected solo guest for this, but I think we had a pretty good time, right?
I think so. I think we had a great discussion.
Yeah, man. So listen, before we wrap up, I figured you could have a chance here to hype some of the other stuff we got going on with the podcast. You just put out some content on our YouTube channel, actually.
Yes. Me and Lou Carnivale just did a retrospective on Jason David Frank, a.k.a. Tommy, the Green Ranger, of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, who unfortunately passed away probably about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now. Very sad thing. And we just kind of did a retrospective on his career and just on Tommy Oliver and him and the Power Rangers and moments we liked and moments he was in and a couple of honorable mention cameos and things like that. It's a really good episode, and if you are a fan of the Power Rangers, I head over to YouTube and give it a listen.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, it is picking up steam, and I'm not saying it's going viral. Trust me, it's not. But it's. I mean, we've already got a couple hundred views on it, which is exciting. So people are listening to it. It is a great listen. It's just basically what we're doing is we're putting out podcasts on YouTube exclusively that are deeper dives on specific topics. So if you're not a Power Rangers fan necessarily, you probably aren't going to listen to it here on the main podcast, but you might, if you're a Power Rangers fan, go listen to it on the YouTube channel. So that's what that channel is going to be for, is deeper dives on different subjects we've talked about in the past or may talk about in the future. So Power Rangers being one of them. I know Lou's going to be doing a lot of game reviews, like old game reviews. I think you're going to be recording one of those with him pretty soon, or have you already recorded that?
No, we're hopefully going to do Mario 64 soon.
Yep. Perfect. And then, so he and I did a wrestling game on there for that. Lou and I have a wrestling series we're doing on there where we go back and look through and review old ECW. If you're a wrestling fan and you want to hear about ECW, make sure you check that out. And man, all kinds of great stuff planned for the YouTube page. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you hit subscribe on that. Same thing with the podcast, though. Listen, we do this every Wednesday. But if you want to get notified and don't remember that it's Wednesday, hit subscribe. It'll download automatically. It'll be in there, for your drive into work, or, maybe you're in the gym, whatever. Just, give it a listen. And hey, happy holidays again. Merry Christmas, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy Kwanzaa. What is it? Happy Kwanzaa?
I think it would be Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Festivus. Which we didn't talk about that. I never watched Seinfeld, so I don't have anything to say about Festivus, but I know it's like actually a thing now. People celebrate it.
People do celebrate it, but if you never watch Seinfeld, it means nothing to you.
It really doesn't. I feel bad because people will judge me all the time. Oh, you haven't seen Seinfeld. No, I haven't seen Seinfeld. But anyway, happy holidays to you and yours. We'll be back next week talking all about the wonderful festivities that are New Year's Eve. But I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun going back and talking all about childhood Christmases, because it is, to me, one of the best times of the year, hands down, even as an adult now more than ever, because I've got kids to kind of share the magic with. And, we're very excited. We're less than 2 weeks away from, to me, Christmas Eve is actually almost as good as Christmas Day as an adult, because we do all the fun stuff on Christmas Eve. We watch every Christmas Eve, my family watches The Polar Express. That's like our go-to Christmas Eve movie. Love that movie. I actually never saw it. I never saw it until I had kids, and my son always loved trains. So he said, oh, let's watch Polar Express. Love that movie. So I actually just saw it recently at the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. They did a live showing. Well, the movie wasn't live, but they played the movie with a live orchestra underneath.
I love that. The New York Philharmonic does that. They did. Yep. They do it with Harry Potter, and they do it with Jurassic Park. And if you ever get a chance to go see it and you're here in New York, I strongly recommend it. They do a tremendous job.
Absolutely. Well, and then same thing here in Atlanta. The Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. They've done Star Wars. They have a concert coming up. It's going to be like the best of John Williams, where they're going to have all of his stuff and play like scenes from the movies on the screen. So it won't be a full movie, but it'll still be a really cool experience. I know they've done video game soundtracks in the past. I think they did The Legend of Zelda one year. So, and those things are just so fun. So yeah, if you're a music aficionado, even if you're not a music aficionado, just going to see it and hear it live, it's a truly special experience. So on that note, guys, Merry Christmas. I hope you're doing well, and we'll talk to you soon. Happy holidays.
Goodbye.